Avengers Doomsday is no longer a whisper, no longer a leak passed around in fan forums at 3 in the morning, and no longer a vague promise buried in a marble sleet announcement. It is real, it is official, and it is detonated across pop culture with the kind of force that only the Avengers name can still generate. The release of the first official trailer didn't just trend worldwide, it reopened emotional doors fans thought were permanently closed back in 2019, when Avengers Endgame placed a definitive period at the end of an era that shaped an entire generation of blockbuster storytelling. For many viewers, that film wasn't just an ending, it was closure. And Avengers Doomsday exists to challenge whether closure was ever real. From the very first seconds, the trailer signals that this is not business as usual. There are no explosive logos slamming onto the screen, no rapid-fire cuts of heroes punching villains, and no grand declarations about saving the universe. Instead, there is silence. Intentional, heavy silence. A long, empty road stretches across the screen. A motorcycle hums softly as it cuts through open land. The camera stays distant, patient, almost respectful. And then recognition hits, like a punch to the chest. The man on that bike isn't a variant. He isn't a memory. He isn't a trick of multiversal editing. It's Steve Rogers, older, slower, carrying the weight of decades that only he remembers, decades that the rest of the world never lived. That single creative decision sets the emotional tone for everything Avengers Doomsday is trying to communicate. This is not a movie about assembling a team for glory or spectacle. It's about reopening wounds that were never truly healed. Steve Rogers was supposed to be finished. He earned his ending through sacrifice, loyalty, and unimaginable loss. He chose love over war, a life over legend. And Marvel doesn't rush past that choice. The trailer lingers on it. We see Steve in moments of peace that feel almost invasive, as if we're witnessing something deeply personal. A quiet farmhouse, morning light through open windows, a simple domestic rhythm, a wedding ring resting on his hand, heavy with meaning. Then comes the moment that sent shockwaves through the fandom. Steve Rogers holding a baby, looking down with a softness and vulnerability we have never seen from him before. This isn't the soldier. This isn't the symbol. This is a man who finally allowed himself to stop being Captain America. And that image alone reframes everything. Because when a story shows you what a hero has gained, what they love, and what they stand to lose, it's not comfort. It's a warning. That moment isn't fan service, it's foreshadowing. Avengers Doomsday is built on consequences, not just narrative consequences, but emotional ones that stretch backward across the entire MCU. For years, the franchise celebrated the belief that heroes could fix anything if they were brave enough, strong enough, or willing to sacrifice enough. This film challenges that belief at its core. Time travel saved half the universe, but it also fractured reality beyond repair. The multiverse wasn't opened carefully or responsibly. It was torn open by desperation, grief, and fear of loss. And now, after years of denial, the universe is demanding payment. The trailer slowly reveals that the multiverse isn't collapsing in a dramatic, explosive fashion. There are no immediate fireworks, no instant annihilation. Instead, it's methodical, quiet, unstoppable. Timelines overlap in ways that shouldn't be possible. Entire realities bleed into each other like wounds that refuse to close. Worlds destabilize without warning, not because of war, but because of interference. This isn't chaos for chaos's sake. It's the logical outcome of unchecked power. And standing at the center of that reckoning is the most shocking transformation the MCU has ever attempted, the arrival of Victor Von Doom, not as a cartoonish tyrant, but as a terrifyingly rational force. Doom doesn't enter screaming for dominance, he enters convinced that dominance is necessary. He looks at the Avengers not as heroes, but as reckless gods who reshaped existence without understanding the long-term cost. In his worldview, free will is not a virtue, it's the flaw that broke reality. Emotion is not strength, it's instability, and heroes, no matter how noble, are the universe's greatest liability. What makes Doom truly frightening isn't his intelligence, his technology, or his power. It's that his argument makes sense. The Avengers broke time. They resurrected trillions of lives without consent. They created branches and paradoxes they never cleaned up. Doom believes the only solution is radical and absolute. Collapse unstable realities, erase fractured timelines, and rebuild existence under a single, controlled order. One timeline, one ruler. No improvisation, no emotional decision-making. No more heroes playing gods. This is where Avengers Doomsday stops being just a spectacle and becomes a philosophical war. Doom represents control without compassion. Steve Rogers represents compassion without certainty. The universe is caught between those two ideologies, neither of which guarantees survival.
The trailer makes it clear that Steve is not eager to return to battle. He hesitates. He studies his shield as if it belongs to someone else, like a relic from a life he already buried. That hesitation matters. It shows growth. It shows exhaustion. Steve Rogers is no longer searching for purpose. He found it, and now purpose is threatening to take it away from him. Meanwhile, the Avengers we see around him are fractured in quieter, more painful ways. Sam Wilson carries the impossible weight of the shield, knowing that the world still compares him to the man who wore it before. Thor appears weary, a god who has survived too many apocalypses and watched too many people fade into memory. Bucky Barnes exists in a state of emotional limbo, torn between loyalty to the past and exhaustion from a lifetime of war. Loki's presence suggests something far more unsettling, that even the most cunning survivor of the multiverse is running out of lies, tricks, and exits. The trailer's rapid cuts offer fleeting glimpses of faces from across Marvel's history, characters from timelines thought closed, erased, or forgotten. These are not nostalgic cameos. They are evidence, proof that the multiverse is no longer theoretical. The walls between realities are gone. Everything is bleeding together, and the Avengers may no longer be strong enough, united enough, or morally certain enough to stop it. Public reaction to the trailer has been intense, emotional, and deeply divided. Some fans describe feeling nostalgic in a way they didn't expect, suddenly reminded why these characters mattered so much in the first place. Others feel unsettled, questioning whether reopening these stories risks cheapening past sacrifices. That debate mirrors the film's central question perfectly. Was Endgame truly an ending, or was it just a pause before the consequences caught up? Behind the scenes, Avengers Doomsday represents a clear shift in Marvel's storytelling philosophy. This is not a reset, it's an interrogation. The film doesn't ask how the Avengers will win, it asks whether they should have won in the first place. It questions the cost of heroism, the morality of interference, and the danger of believing that good intentions erase damage. Steve Rogers' return is not about reclaiming the spotlight or undoing his farewell. It's about facing the consequences of stepping away. He didn't abandon the world, he trusted it to move forward without him. And now he must confront whether that trust allowed something far worse to grow. The trailer's final moments are deliberately restrained. There's no climactic battle tease, no villain speech, no promise of victory. Just Steve standing alone, shield in hand, fully aware that picking it up again means risking everything he built after the war. The voiceover speaks of destiny, responsibility, and endings that never truly end. And that sentiment defines Avengers Doomsday. This film isn't about saving the world from destruction. It's about deciding what kind of world deserves saving, and whether heroes have the right to decide that at all. As Marvel moves toward the next phase of its universe, Avengers Doomsday stands as the emotional crossroads. It bridges legacy and future, myth and consequence, hope and control. It doesn't promise easy victories or clean resolutions. It promises difficult choices, permanent loss, and uncomfortable truths. And if the trailer is any indication, the greatest threat the Avengers face isn't Victor Von Doom. It's the possibility that they may no longer be the answer. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.